What is up, guys? Welcome back to OverTakes. This is Misfit, and today we're going to be doing our awards show. I'm going to be giving out my MVP, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and then I'm going to throw in my Roll Stars too, just to give you a reference as to where I'm at and who I thought was really good this year, and you know, all the things. They're pretty close to everybody else, but there's some other guys in there that I kind of threw in, and it's fun. It's fun talking about this stuff. So we have that, and before we dive into that, we are going to talk some news, of course, about the Overwatch League playoffs going on and what's going on with that. I would like to thank everybody for joining me. All of you guys who've been supporting me, thank you very much. Whether it's been for 1 week or for 4 years, thank you. And to all you guys that are new, checking me out, I do Overwatch League content 2 to 3 times a week. This week we're going to have a little bit more content than normal. We're going to have a couple episodes here and there. Probably a little shorter than the really big long-form ones I do because we have a lot to discuss. Today we're going to do our award show, then we're going to do a little playoff ranking show, and then I'm going to dive into the play-ins because there's a lot of things that are unsettled right now as far as what's going on with the playoffs. So without further ado, let's start talking about that. Okay, so I believe it was on Tuesday, the league, was it Tuesday? It was Wednesday. So Wednesday, about 8 o'clock at night, the league dropped a tweet talking about what's going to happen for the Overwatch League playoffs. As you know, you guys don't live under a rock. You know that there's no longer live events with the Delta variant and all that stuff. They decided to cancel the live events in Dallas and in Los Angeles for the grand finals. So the solution, which instantly I was like, okay, we still have the games. It'll be okay. And then I kind of dove into it and listened to what people were saying and some of the things that were going on with it. I'm on the fence, leaning more towards, I don't know if this is a good idea, probably a bad idea. But what are we going to do? That's the problem. So just real quick, I'll just kind of paraphrase what the thing said. Basically, the tweet said, unfortunately, since we originally announced plans for the postseason, the environment has changed significantly. After a continued consultation with our teams, we are no longer confident that all the teams will be able to travel to the United States with full rosters. We have therefore made a difficult decision to pivot from live events and centered around Dallas and Los Angeles and will instead return to Hawaii for the postseason competition. We will share more details in the coming days about how this will work, including updates for playoffs. So, basically what they are saying is the play-ins are going in as scheduled because those were online events anyway, in APAC and in NA. So those are going to be fine. We're still going to get those this weekend. And then further past that, it's still up in the air. So what we have now is a situation much like the tournament system that we had this year. NA teams going to Hawaii, APAC teams staying in APAC. And I guess the big travel problem was with the APAC teams getting in, visas, you know, all of the hot mess shit that happens. Normally, it's not going to be this bad, but with the pandemic, there's a lot of stuff going on with that. And given some other things going on with travel and stuff like that, I don't know if it's a great idea with the traveling thing, but it would have been fun to see live events. It's hard to say. The problem is, I believe Seffi did a tweet outlining what, you know, a lot of the parameters were from the Atlanta Reign and some of the things like they weren't communicating with the teams. Pelican can't go to Hawaii because he can't fly for 6 weeks. That's a big deal to them. And on top of that, the only teams that travel are NA teams. They're playing on stuff that's not theirs, minus their peripherals, keyboard, mouse, etc. They're playing, you know, living out of a hotel, going into a facility like you would, like on a LAN thing, you know, that kind of stuff. But the problem is that they're the only ones doing that. And there's a distinct advantage to that. The APAC teams are in their room with their chair, with their PC, their desk, all of the stuff that they've been playing on for the entire year. Look, and you guys can say what you want. It doesn't make a difference. Gamer good, all the bullshit. But look, you guys drive. A good portion of you. This is like getting into somebody else's car and them saying, all right, drive cross country in not your car. You're not going to be able to do it right away. It's a pain in the ass. And, you know, for tournaments, I was kind of okay with that. But for the finality of the league and of the year, you know what I mean, not the finale of the league, the finale of the season. Do you really want a team to have a distinct advantage like that? Plus, then you lose a guy like Pelican on Atlanta. I want to see the best of the best. Players get hurt in leagues and it screws them up in playoffs and all that, and you can always do the what if thing, much like some of the fans are doing with Atlanta. And I said, as far as the tournament goes, suck it up. That's my opinion. Yeah, it's prestige, it's a tournament win, all that stuff. So you have that. I don't particularly agree with the fact that one team has to travel and another team doesn't. I really think if you want to make it a little more plausible, have the teams that are based there either to travel to Seoul or to Shanghai or wherever to a neutral facility where they have to go through the same things. They might not have the travel jet lag and all that stuff, but they're facing some of the same challenges that the other guys are. Living out of a hotel, not being in their team house, etc. I think it might be an adjustment, and I think that's why we haven't gotten all of the details yet, because even as of yesterday on the Overwatch League site, they've said, this is as of Thursday, they went over some of the same stuff and said, utilizing the Project Aloha technology and format from the tournaments held during the regular season, more information, including new dates, will be shared later. So I think they're trying to figure out some logistics to make everybody at least on the same playing field. I just think, a $1.5 million prize, prestige, and a trophy in this league deserves everybody being kind of on an equal thing. That's why the NFL plays at a neutral site. We had, for the first time in 50-something years, a team winning a Super Bowl going to their home field and whatnot. 50 years. Over 50 years. It's like Super Bowl 55 or something like that. The neutral field thing, baseball, basketball, all of those sports can do the back and forth, but everybody gets a shot at their home thing. If you're doing a tournament, an all-encompassing tournament over a weekend, and then a grand finals tournament over the course of a couple of days, do you really want to do it like that? You can't do it like home and home. You have to figure out a way. And that's why LAN works, because there's neutrality. You could get a situation where a team is at home for the finals. There could have been a situation where when they had it at the Barclays Center, New York could have been the home team, or Philadelphia could have been the home team in 2019, stuff like that. But it's less of a risk than having one team travel and one team not. I'm glad that at least they're still going on. I want this to work in some way, shape, or form, but that's what we got going on with that right now. So, those are my opinions on that. You guys might vary from me, and I still think it's a good idea that they're doing the playoffs. We still have something going, but I think there's a reasonable compromise that can be made here for everybody to be on an equal playing field. That's all I want. I'm not going to go over all of the tweets and everybody, Gator and guys going back and forth, the people like Sparkle and stuff like that. They can work this out, is what I'm getting at. Okay, so now the reason why we're here. This is the OverTakes award show. We don't have a orchestra and red carpet or anything like that. We're fan level. We're not getting that crazy. So let's talk about it. Like I said, this is what I got going on with the awards. So I have MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year. I'm not doing any peripheral stuff, in my opinion, like Most Improved or Comeback Guy or stuff like that. We'll save that for after the season. We'll do some stuff like that when we recap. I'm going to give you my winner and then a couple of honorable mentions, guys that were in my conversation in my head when I was coming up with these things that I thought you could make an argument for being any one of these awards. And then we're going to do Roll Stars. Same thing. I'm going to go. Now, this is how I did the Roll Stars. I'm just going to throw this out here. I did, because I don't think it's fair in the tank range to have main tank, or not have main tank and flex tank as separate things. So I picked two from each side of the tank. Same thing with supports. Because if I just did it on my, all right, these are the top four supports regardless, or tanks. They would all be flex tanks or flex supports. That's just how I am. Maybe I will give you Fearless in the tank. Well, I just unveiled something. There you go. Spoiler alert. But no, what I'm getting at is I wanted to separate them so there were people from each position that's relevant. And DPS is DPS. I didn't separate DPS players because there's a lot of guys now that can flex on everything. That's where we're going. Without further ado, let's start this. All right, I am going to start off with my most valuable player. So most valuable player, I rate it a lot of different ways. Value to team, skill, and in this league, it's going to be taking over games, winning games, carrying, all that kind of stuff. Being the guy that's most valuable in every aspect of the team and their skill set. Here's my MVP. I picked, not a big surprise here, I took Leave, the Chengdu Hunters. Leave this year did a lot of work for this team. He was, last year, rookie, did some good stuff. He brought them up a little bit. They had a rocky year last year, and last year was weird. It's hard to quantify some of the stuff that happened last year, especially with the APAC teams that didn't have a lot of stuff going on early in the year. There was a lot of up and down, in and out, and they were kind of a mess last year. But this year, they brought Rui back in, and Leave basically was in there after some weird stuff that they were trying, a bunch of different stuff. He was in there permanently. He didn't leave. And the way he plays with Gaga on Tracer, their coordination is fantastic, and he is good on so many heroes. And the rankings that he has on these heroes are towards the top of the league, no lower than top 5. Even on some of the niche stuff that he was doing, weird stuff that he would have to do from time to time. But his Tracer, his Hanzo are the two standout things to me, and they were in the top 3, top 4 in the league. This guy on Hanzo, during the Countdown Cup, when he was playing it, he was on fire most of the time. He was so dangerous, and you add in his Tracer, and I've spoken about how his Tracer is just top 2, top 3 in the league. If we're, including a lot, you're including a lot of different players in here. Overall, though, his pathing, his target selection, and his follow-ups on certain things like, EMPs, the damage that when Jin was doing Pharah, him cleaning stuff up, targeting backlines and stuff like that. He is probably one of the best at just all of the things on Tracer. Some guys are good at maybe doing a little bit of, annoyance in the backline and then unleashing pulse bombs. This guy's good at all of it. Every aspect of good Tracer play, he is there. And same thing, Hanzo. His aim is incredible. He's one of those guys that can hit shots from fucking across the map, take out supports, knows when to Dragon Strike. His coordination with his team is impeccable. Some of that has to do with coaching, but Leave, overall, my MVP. Now, honorable mentions. These are a couple of the guys that I had in that I was really looking at, but it came down to Leave. I know I joked a lot about, it's not necessarily a joke with me on this either. Prophet being the most valuable player, and I'm going to vote for him because I'm a stan. And it's true, I am a stan, and I watch their games because I like watching him play and factor in, a little bit, but here are my honorable mentions. Okay, my 3 honorable mentions in this category. I have Lip, Fearless, and Prophet. Yeah, you thought I was baiting you with not having Prophet in there. These guys all meant so much to their team. Fearless helped turn this team around. Big leader. Early on in the year, he was, the catalyst for Dallas. Still plays really good on most of the tanks. And one of the key reasons why they did what they did. Lip, unbelievable player for the Shanghai Dragons. He was my number 2. Lip was my number 2. I know I'm going standard, but you can't really go against that. Lip was so good this year. A lot of people are saying Fleta this and that. Fleta played fantastic as well, but I don't think he was on the level of Lip. And you've heard me speak about Prophet. Prophet, to me, if you take him off of Soul, they are hot garbage. Because the amount of times he has pulled things out of his ass, and we say this all the time about this guy, his carry potential is massive. And it's not just on one hero. It's on 5, 6 heroes he can do this on. So that is my MVP selections. All right, next up, let's talk about the Rookie of the Year award. All right, here we go, guys. Rookie of the Year. I don't have to describe this one, so here we go. Rookie of the Year. I have no shock here either. Pelican. Head and shoulders above the rest of the guys in the league that were rookies this year to me. There were a lot of guys at the start, too. You're going, hey, everyone, including me, I was like, Mag's a serious Rookie of the Year candidate. I also said there's a chance Pelican could be that guy too if Atlanta used him right, which they did. And then you had guys like Gaga and stuff like that. You could even throw in Monk. I didn't know too much about Monk, so I'm not going to say anything about that. But yeah, Pelican, on his level, and he was on the outside. He was probably of my MVP because of all of the criteria that I put in there. He's on the Prophet level. It was like Prophet, and then he was like a tick below that, I think. And by a tick, it's a hair here or there. The thing that Pelican did, bringing him in and putting him in that role and playing him all the time, and he worked well with whoever else was alongside of him too. That's the thing you also got to take into consideration, because there were times when they would have other guys with him, but he is still the man. The thing with him is the one thing that he has done with this team. He was the piece that we didn't know Atlanta needed. Everyone was saying things about, new tank line, new supports. They needed Pelican because what his carry potential and the things he has done on multiple heroes across the board, and his hero pool is massive. His Sim, fantastic. Farah, whatever you put this dude on is great. And we saw how valuable he is to this team. He took a team, not necessarily all on his back. He became part of a team, the missing piece of this puzzle that took this team from a gatekeeper, the team that couldn't beat the teams that were better than, them in the standings, only could beat the teams below them, to a team that was a contender all year long, went to 3 tournaments, which in and of itself is fantastic coming out of NA. There's a lot more teams. You had teams like the Gladiators, the Shock, other teams that you had to go through, potentially. Dallas. Do you see where I'm going? And Pelican was one of the main reasons why. And he was hands down my Rookie of the Year. I love watching this dude play. He is deserving of this award. And if he doesn't get it, it's going to be a crime against humanity. I don't know how you pick anyone else. And if someone out there does that has a vote, your vote needs to get fucking taken away. Honorable mention in this. My honorable mention, I'm going to go with Gaga for sure, Monk, and then I'm going to throw a couple of mid-season people in here that I considered, and that's Aspire and Vestola and Dridro from Paris. There were a few guys that I kind of looked at, and I was like, yeah, these guys were really good, but I didn't have enough of a sample size. Pelican was good all year long, etc., what have you, but there were a couple of guys that were there, and Gaga was great. Monk was great, but you cannot deny that Pelican was the best rookie player in the league in 2021 in the Overwatch League. Now, this is the hardest one for me. Now, I tried to figure out what these guys had on their ballot. I watched a bunch of different streams, and I have my own opinions, guys. I don't feed into what these guys say. I just wanted to see, because a lot of them tell what was on the ballot. So, and props to Avril for saying, like, some of these guys weren't on the ballot, because I watched his stream when he was talking, because I like to see where I'm at with some of these guys. See if am I this crazy? Or so from what I could gather, 2 of my guys that I thought were deserving of being the coach of the year were not on the list. A couple of guys I eliminated early. Now, I eliminated Moon early because that roster is sick, and he has a lot of interchangeable parts, and it's just, to me, he did a great job. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to deny that, but what he did there was what he should be doing there, essentially. And we had, you could say what you want about it. They brought in Fate and all that, but remember, he coached Fate before. It was kind of like not a cruise control. It was just plugging in things and just tweaking things a little bit here and there, and they proved that they're still the best team over there in APAC. So that was my first elimination as far as that. Shock didn't play as well. Krusty's out. Krusty's always the coach of the year after 2000. The last 2 years, you got to go Krusty, right? But they didn't have as good a year. Out. So this is where I was left. The only one I don't think Krusty was on the ballot either, but the only guy that was on the ballot, and he was my pick anyway, was Rush from Dallas. And look, you can throw your narrative out, Dallas got all these great players. He had to take that team, and they lost probably last year. He was a Rookie of the Year candidate, one of the best hitscan players, and they just abandoned hitscan. Now, you can say what you want. He came up with all the plans, and dude had the nutsack at the beginning of the year to come out and say, we create the meta, kind of fuck you. So I'm even throwing that into consideration for this guy, calling his shot and doing what he set out to do. They were in every tournament minus the last one, taking it lighter. They still got into the knockouts. And they still, even by not trying, they were trying different stuff casually. I'm going to go with, because I know a lot of you guys think that I was saying that they were trying hard when I said that. But anyway, that aside, he took Fearless into this team, and he's got Sparkle. Yeah, sure. But if you look at the situation that they're in, with no hitscan player, and the fact that they've been to every tournament except for the last one, they won one, they were in the finals in the other two, and they've been waiting for Pine to come in all year. And obviously with the visas and all that stuff, it's not working out. He came up with strategies and techniques and just different stuff for this team to take their skill set, which all the heroes are good at, and some of the guys that weren't the greatest on some heroes, like Sparkle on Tracer, everyone had a big problem with. He took all of this stuff, and he's like, nope, I'm going to make this work with these guys and their hero pools and their skill sets. And goddamn, he did. And that guy deserves all the credit he gets for that. And he is my pick. He was my pick before I found out what the ballot was. And there were a couple of guys that were close, which we're going to talk about in 2 seconds. But that's my coach of the year. Rush, definitely. Now, my other two guys were not on the ballot, which the first guy, I don't know how he wasn't. But these are my honorable mentions. I have Rui from Chengdu and Unter, because he came in a little bit later to coaching the Atlanta Reign. These two guys did a lot with these teams, and they were teams that nobody expected this level of play from, and they did fantastic stuff with. Rui took Chengdu. He was the original coach of Chengdu, wacky ball strats in the middle of goats and all that. He took that with the guys he has now of this skill level, with Leave, Gaga, bringing back Late Young after he learned some stuff, and keeping some of the parts like Yevitl and some of the guys that know his system. He took them and they surprised everybody, and to me at least, he was a strong consideration. Unter took the Gatekeeper, made sure Pelican was in there, got them situated straight, got strats in there that they were good at, and he gave them he channeled that attitude that they have and kind of focused it more into the match. As you saw, as it got on later in the season, they didn't have that kind of smack talk and then not back it up like they used to have. Now they kind of back it up. Did they get beat? Yeah, sure, but what are you going to do? You're going to lose. But they go in confident, and they always have a good plan. So yeah, that's my those are my two Coach of the Year honorable mentions. Okay, awards out of the way, and now it's time for my role stars. We're going to do this real quick. We're going to run down. I'm just going to go over them, a couple little words about each guy that I have in the roles. So these are my top 4 in each of the 3 roles: damage, tank, and support. We're going to start with tank. All right, guys, here you go. Here are my 4 tanks: Fearless, Hanbin, Void, and Fate. Yeah, Dallas and Shanghai's tank line. There's a reason why these two teams are really good, and it's these gentlemen on these teams. Fate has upped his game. You can say what you want about his lack of being able to play X or Y. I don't really think it's there. I think he's above average on everything. He's really good on a couple of heroes. Fantastic. Deserves to be there. Changed Shanghai into a runner-up all the time, into probably the favorite to win the championship. Void. What else can you say about Void? He is, last year, MVP candidate. This year, I believe, he's an MVP candidate. He is the glue for some of the things that this team does. Fantastic off-tank, awareness, top level, skill set, amazing. Hero pool is fantastic. All of the things you want. Fearless. Took Dallas to another level. Fantastic main tank. Probably the best main tank in the league right now, bar none. Maybe bar a couple if you want to get nitpicky. You could say maybe a couple other guys. And they're probably on this list anyway. Main tank wise not, but Hanbin, by far, in my opinion, the best off tank in the league. I would, if it wasn't for the guys that were in front of him on that MVP list, I would really have picked him to be an MVP candidate. Seriously, guys. He's that good. I don't know, you can say what you want. I don't know about you guys, but watching him play, he seems to know how to play D.Va better than anybody in the league. Possibly since the start of the league, even before. Different animal, I know it's back then, but he's one of the best D.Va players I ever saw. And if you get him into the Sigma, he's not as good as he is on the D.Va, but he's still top notch. So Hanbin, Fearless, Void, and Fate, my tank role stars. Couple honorable mentions really quick. Hawk, Atlanta, Gaga from Chengdu, and Space from the Gladiators. Those are they're all played fantastic this year. I don't want to spend a ton of time on my honorable mentions and stuff like that, but those are some other guys that they were on the cusp of being on this list, but the other guys to me were just that much better. Not by like leaps and bounds, but enough to where those guys didn't make it, but I have them on my radar. All right, next up, supports. I am going to go with Izayaki from Shanghai, Li Zhegan from Shanghai, Alarm from the Philadelphia Fusion, and Jexay from the Dallas Fuel. There's a lot of Dallas guys and a lot of Shanghai guys in here for a reason. Izayaki, best Zenyatta in the league. His Ana is fantastic. His BAP is decent enough when he has to play it, but generally he's doing the Ana and Zenyatta thing. He is one of the most lethal, if not the most lethal, flex supports in the league. His Zenyatta, I believe, is top in the league in pretty much every category. His Ana's close. He is unbelievable and overlooked. A lot of people want to talk about other guys. And I've said it, if you guys have been paying attention this year, I've said Izayaki's name a lot. The dude is amazing. And he needs a little bit more recognition than he's been getting. And he's my, all right, he's on the MVP thing. But I know that people can't see all the matches. Go back, watch Shanghai matches. Even go into the replay viewer and just take his POV in a couple of the matches that are on there right now. Unbelievable. Li Zhegan, best main support in the league. One of the main reasons why is he can play all of the heroes that are required. They don't sub him in. They don't sub him out for, we have a Brig specialist. We have a guy who plays better, Lucio better, Mercy better, whatever, this, that. He is the best all around. He has the best kill ratios and all that stuff. And the way he plays Lucio is very, very aggressive. Some people think he feeds. If you look at the numbers, not as bad as you think. And his other heroes are fantastic as well. Alarm, the sole reason why Philadelphia even kept anything together when all of these guys came in, Alarm is probably the number one reason. You could say Carpe, you could say EQO, but Alarm is the best flex support, in my opinion, outside of Izayaki, maybe tied with him. If you throw in like his Ana play, his Zenyatta play when they played it, they mostly play him on Zen, but his hero pool he's fantastic at everything. He can play any of the heroes required at an extremely high level. I know he got overlooked this year because Philadelphia is kind of meh, also in APAC, but if you look at the numbers and look at some of the matches and watch what he does for that team, he deserves to be on this list. Jexay from the Dallas Fuel. I love this dude. Mostly you're getting the Lucio play, but his Brig has stepped up too when he's been playing Brig. And, that's very important for them. And, the way the metas have been running and all that stuff, he has become more versatile than one would expect. We all thought he was kind of mostly a Lucio player and all that stuff. But I liked his Brig this year. I liked everything he does for this team. He is fantastic at main support. And, you can say what you want about other guys. His hero pool is pretty vast. He could play everything at a decent enough level to a super high level where he is, he's in the top of the league and stuff. And he also has other qualities too, I think, that get overlooked. I think he's one of the more clutch players in that main support role too. He pulled a lot of stuff out to help Dallas survive in some of these big matches against tough opponents. So yeah, he was my my fourth or my other main support pick. Honorable mentions in this. I have Iris, Shu, Yevitol, and Skewed. Skewed mostly because it's maybe recency bias, you could call it that. It was between Skewed and Masa. You could even throw Masa in there too. What the heck? Why not? They were all guys that I thought did really well. Really well. Skewed came in, took a lot of the playing time away from off, mostly because they were running a lot of Brig and stuff like that. But on the occasions when he's had to play Mercy and things like that, he hasn't done terrible. He really hasn't. Yeah, it's very few and far between any other stuff, but his Brig, probably the best in the league. Close to it, at least. And the other guys, Iris really impressed me this year. Shu, obviously, clutch monster. Yevitol, crazy stuff like he does for Chengdu. His Mercy is obviously his bread and butter, but his Brig has also stepped up this year too. I've said that about every guy that's in here. Their Brig play has been better. Because if you notice, we're not having DPS players jump into that role anymore like they were doing before. These guys have gotten a good hang of Brig, and they're doing a very, very decent job at it. All right, final category. We have DPS. And I'm basically going with the MVP list plus one, kind of, here. I have Lip, Leave, Sparkle, and Prophet. Obviously, you guys can give me all the shit you want about Prophet. That's fine. I told you what I think about Prophet. His Tracer is close to the best in the league. He has clutch potential. His other heroes he's fantastic on, does a great job on. And even when he has situations where, you assume something, like last year, the take was his Brig was, or his Brig, his Echo was terrible. His Echo game has improved phenomenally. And if you look at some of the results and watch some of the film stuff, fantastic. Prophet, always going to be there on there for me when he performs like he did this year, and pretty much him and Fitz carried that team. Leave, we talked all about Leave. Leave is unbelievable, and if I had him at MVP, I mean, why would I not put him on a roll star? I don't know. I just can't. Lip, I just thought that he needed to be on here too, because I thought he was one of the biggest reasons why Shanghai played at the level that they did, was a lot of the stuff that he was doing, whether it was Sombra or even when he, jump on a Tracer or doing whatever he did. You get him on Ashe and he just tears stuff up or whatever. The dude is insane. And I thought this year he was better than Fleta. Overall, like if you're going in this realm of award season, I thought he was a way bigger component. Not that Fleta wasn't, but he was just, in his neutral game on Sombra is one of the things that always impresses me. You could say what you want about his screwing up EMPs and stuff like that. A lot of those single EMPs too, I think, are intentional. But his neutral game on Sombra is probably the best in the league. And then you add in all the other heroes this dude can play. He's just phenomenal. Sparkle, hey, look, the dude is amazing at a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, he got to play some Doom and some of the stuff that we all know him for, but he picked up Tracer. Not the easiest hero in a professional league to pick up and play at a level where you're going, hey, you're going from, I don't know why they're doing this, to, the next time you see him, oh, he's actually not that bad, to, oh, he's as good as the other guys that are at the top of the league on this hero, which is very important right now. Plus, he can flex onto anything. I mean, you could say that other guys might deserve it, but just watching him play, and he is a big component on this team, and I think it goes beyond the mechanical skills, which his hero pool is massive. And he played well on things like doing the sim and doing some of the May stuff and doing just whatever they throw him on, he's good. The guy is fantastic, and he is a cog in this machine that Dallas has been this year that is vital and invaluable to me on the way they played. So those are my four. Here are my honorable mentions. I had Pelican, Fleta, Kevster, and I just had three more. I figured 7 was enough on that. But yeah, those are my awards, guys. That is all of my roll stars and my the big time awards. I love talking about stuff like this. It's fun, and just throwing out my opinions, giving my thoughts on things like that, and just going through and watching, when I'm doing the video stuff, going through and watching, I'm going, oh man, I forgot about like how good this guy is. Even though I picked him, I'm like, I'm saying this, am I right? And then you watch him play for a little bit, you're like, oh yeah, in my opinion, yeah, I'm right about this dude. It's just fun doing that. And then I like hearing your guys' opinions too on this. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. Just wanted to throw my award show out there, give you guys my opinions, talk about the playoff format, and give you my thoughts on that, which probably don't reflect some of what some of the other people are saying and things like that. But I'm okay with that. We can have a discussion down below. Definitely, if you guys have a different opinion of me, we can talk about it, all that stuff. And as always, thanks for all of your support, guys. Greatly, greatly appreciated. I really do mean that. And if you're new, thanks a lot for joining me. If you could hit a like, hit a subscribe, do all the YouTube jazz, that would be fantastic. This is Misfit. I'm out. Everybody stay safe. Have a good rest of your day. And I'll talk to you on the next one.